ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the CEO of Unity Technologies, John Riccitiello.
So good morning, everybody, and welcome to GDC 2017 and to the Unity Keynote for 2017. Now, I generally open these things up with a little bit of a harking back to why we're here. We're basically here for developers. That's what we think about every single morning when we come to work. And we frame our thinking around these ideas. You've seen them before. Democratizing development. That means putting the most powerful development tools in the hands of developers, frankly, whether they can afford them or not. Solving hard problems. This is crucial to who we are. We want to solve the hardest engineering and business problems so you don't have to. Whether that's figuring out a way to, to get to multiple platforms or a particular lighting solution or a graphics end result that you're looking for, we're here to solve that engineering challenge for you. And lastly, and most recent to our list of a mission statement for Unity, it's enabling developer success. We know just how hard it is to make $1 in this business and to be a profitable business so you can sustain. And we're here to support you to make that truth for you. Now, Unity 5 was launched on this stage precisely 2 years ago at GDC. And at that time, we talked about 4 focus areas or 4 development priorities: graphics, quality and stability, efficiency, and platform growth. And it has certainly been a journey, and it's also been an adventure. We made great progress across all of these areas of focus, and I'd like to dig into that, a little bit of a review over the last couple years. Graphics, we delivered a lot. Better quality, expression, and performance. I think we've made it so that you can unlock the greatest power of the latest hardware and devices. We have the engineering power so you can focus on storytelling and the product you want to develop, what you want to deliver. Now, a lot's happened over the last couple of years. Physical-based rendering and global illumination, enabling virtual objects to look and behave like they would in the real world. Native Vulkan API support. Multi-threaded rendering, single-pass rendering. It's a huge list. It's been something coming literally every quarter, quarter after quarter, making a big stride forward. And what probably best exemplifies the progress we've made on graphics is the Atom demo. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but take a quick look at what we've provided in the last couple months.
Hey! Gone!
So we built that, launched it a year ago, to show you what's possible with Unity. So next up is quality and stability. And I'll start with an admission. We stumbled in 2015 with the introduction of 5.3. But early in 2016, we brought out 5.3.4, and we're back on track. We've committed to driving quality and stability across the board. We've more than doubled the resources against QA in the organization. And here's one measure of our success on this front. We've seen a 38% decline in the number of support tickets while adding 40% more customers. That is a massive gain. We think we're in a very good spot. There's always more to do, and there will forever be a focus for us. But we think we've gotten to a place that you can respect and be confident in. Now, next up is efficiency, making your job easier, faster, more fluid, better workflow. We want you to be able to start a game easily in Unity, and we want you to be able to finish a game easily in Unity. And we've brought a number of features to the fore: collaborate and cloud build, analytics, progressive light mapper, nav mesh tools, multi-scene editing. All of these things have enabled you to be able to create content simpler, easier, faster, and in a more satisfying way. We're unbelievably focused on this, and we're glad you're riding along with us. Now, platform growth. This is an area where we excel. Since I stood on this stage 2 years ago, we've introduced 16 new platforms. Here's a snapshot of the platforms we brought to bear in the last couple of years. So not only have we got iOS and Android, we've had that a long time, PS4, et cetera. Look at all the new platforms, a huge commitment to creating an opportunity for you to monetize your products over more platforms. And here's a snapshot of the tools or the platforms we support today, more than 30 platforms. Now, that's the life cycle of Unity 5, and we're super proud of this progress. But what matters most is what you achieve, what your goals are, what you deliver. And before I go through this, raise your hand if you've built or published a game in Unity. Well, that's nice, almost everybody in the audience. Let me give you a little summary of what you collectively have delivered over the last couple of years. Your games now make up 38% of all mobile games globally. That's what you guys are doing. That's up 4 percentage points, 4 points from a year ago. As a perspective, that 4-point gain is 3 times the total of what the other guys build on another platform. So you guys are lapping them again, and lapping them again. You should be very proud of that. Now, next, your games were downloaded 16 billion times in 2016. That's 31% growth versus 2015, a truly staggering performance. When you hear the guys at Google Play or at the App Store with Apple talk about the huge success of their platforms, it's because of you, or at least largely because of you. And this last statistic completely blows me away. In the last quarter, your games reached 2.6 billion unique devices. Now, lots of folks talk about how much reach they have on their platform. And look, it is amazing how many users at a Google or a Facebook reach. But look what you guys reach. This is truly staggering. And by the way, that 2.6 billion is up 1 billion from the quarter a year ago. That is it's a rocket ship. And you guys are driving it. You're manning it. You are, in fact, it. Now, you've done more than I ever thought possible. You've probably done more than you ever thought possible. But you've heard from me on Unity 5. But I work here. I think it's awesome that we're going to bring up to stage John Erner from Space Ape. He's going to give you the developer's perspective, what it's like, on the front lines and what they've been able to achieve. John?
Wow, intimidating. Cool. Let me tell you about Space Ape. Space Ape is a 4-year-old mobile gaming company based out of London. Our mission is to make the highest quality and the most commercially successful games in the world. And one of the first decisions we made in the first month of starting the company was to work with Unity. We did that for 2 reasons. I think you'll recognize both of these. First is focus, second is speed. On the topic of focus, we're really good at making games. And Unity is really good at making a game engine. So we can focus on what we do best, confident that we're supported by what I think is the best game engine team in the world, helping us to achieve our objectives. On speed, we can prototype a game in 2 days during a game jam. We can build the metagame for that in 3 months. And we can have that game live in a year if we want to. And that kind of speed means we can afford to fail, can afford to try different things, and ultimately find success. So what I'd like to share with you today is what I've been up to, what Space Ape has been up to in the last 2 years. I was on the stage 2 years ago. We had a single game, Samurai Siege. A lot has happened since then, and Unity's been with us as a part of that journey. I think my real message to you, though, is don't just build a game. Build a business. That's the theme of my story today. So in the intervening years, since I was last up here, we've launched 2 games. Rival Kingdoms went live in 2015. Transformers in 2016. We made both of these games with Unity. And with Transformers Earth Wars, we made our first Unity 5-based game. And on the back of those games, plus continued success with Samurai Siege, we've seen some phenomenal growth. First of all, in terms of the size of our company, we've gone from 60 employees to 100. We've gone from 10 million players to 35 million. And we've gone from 24 million in sales all the way up to 92. All of that in 2 years. So to put it to you another way, 2 years ago, we were making about $1 million in sales every month. 2 years later, say last month, nearly 5 million every month. So it's a huge amount of growth in a short amount of time. And I'm really proud of what we've done. I view us as a company as a base camp, the sort of base camp of our industry. We have millions of players. We've got a great team. We're profitable. Very few have gotten here I'm cognizant of that. And at the same time, we look up at that mountain. And just in case you don't understand the extent of it, the handful of best-in-class mobile game companies around the world have tens of millions of people playing every day, and they generate billions of dollars every year. Their franchises are bigger than any movie in any box office that you've ever watched. We're talking about a huge opportunity here. We could grow our business incrementally, like I just showed you, every year till the cows come home. We're never going to get to the top of this mountain. And what we realized last year was that we would need to change our approach if we ever wanted to achieve that mission of ours, to make the best games. So what we did was go back to the basics. We said, all right, how are we going to accomplish our goal of making the best games in the world? And let's make sure that we don't waste any time making anything less. So we changed our mission. Let's just make really awesome games. I know that sounds trite. On the other hand, as people who make games, you know how much time we spend working on okay stuff. And the reason we do it is because we're terrified of how we're going to pay the bills and how we're going to keep people working at our company if it doesn't work out. It's so liberating to be in a position where you can say, I don't need to worry about the bills next year. Go ahead, try and do something great. The rest will take care of itself. And so that's exactly what we did. And the result of it was really a reinvention of our company. So first of all, we went from a slate way of thinking to a funnel way of thinking. And what I mean by that is, it used to be that I, as a founder, would effectively tell the company the games to make, based on my opinions, based on what I thought, a slate. And then we changed things around to small teams at SpaceApe would tell me what they wanted to make. And we, as a company, would run those products through a series of milestones to vet, are they really as good as that team thinks they are? Second, we dropped the size of our teams from an average of 20 about 2 years ago to 8 today. And because we did that, we can increase the number of teams we have from 3 2 years ago to 7 today. So today we've got about 60% of our headcount working on new stuff that you haven't seen before, all entirely different than the games we used to make. This one is Fastlane. It's going to go live in April. Fastlane is, on the surface of it, a very casual arcade shooter, but there's an extremely advanced metagame underneath it, and there's a whole lot of personality. In beta, it's got the sort of retention stats you'd expect of a casual game. It's got the kind of monetization stats you'd expect of a mid-core game, and it's coming really soon. Supercarts, working title. The team's idea here is a simple one. Let's take the very, or at least one of the very best genres historically in gaming, and let's put it on the biggest 2 platforms, Android and iOS, and let's see what happens. A tough project, one we've been working on for a year, but we think that the opportunity here is immense. So all up, we've got 4 games in development. We've killed 2 in the last 6 months. That's on top of 3 that we're already making. All of these games are built in Unity 5. I don't really know which of them is going to hit, but it's going to be an exciting journey. We're going to make that climb, and I recommend you do the same thing. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
You know, thanks, John. That's an awfully impressive story. So next up, what I'd like to do is remind you that it's not just SpaceApe. It's all of you. And we've got a short video to show you some of the highlights of the Unity 5 series. You want to run the video? So that's just the tip of the iceberg. And so much more of this comes from this community. And next up, our most fully featured release ever, Unity 5.6. And there's no one better in the world to take you through the technical details than Lucas Meyer. Lucas, it's your show.
Unity 5.6 today. It's an action-packed release. It has a whole ton of new features, an enormous amount of improvements and bug fixes, and we're really, really proud about it. Especially in the area of graphics, we've done a lot of work, and most specifically in the area of lighting. Let's dive straight in. I have a demo over here, and it has a cute little sort of market scene that you can see here. Here we go. Like that. And you can already immediately see one new thing in Unity 5.6, and that's on the right-hand side here, over here. That's the new Light Explorer. It's a single window that you can use to, at a very quick glance, get an overview of how the lighting in this scene works. For instance, in this scene, I can see I have a bunch of hologram lights and a few lights from the market stall. I can see that I have a bunch of spotlights and a bunch of area lights. And here in the mode, you can see that all the lights are baked. And that's really convenient to have one place to sort of get the understanding of how lighting in a scene works, because it's not always, you can light a scene in very different ways, and it's nice to know which one is being used. In this specific case, you can see, because it's all baked, that's a very typical setup if you want to target like low-end mobile hardware. So all the lights are just baked into the light map. You can specify the intensity of the lights, colors, and over here on the right side, you also have like the shadow types. Okay, so that's one new thing, the Light Explorer. Let's take a look at what we can do with these light settings here. So it says baked here. If I select that, you can see that I can tell a light to be a real-time light. That's the most accurate. These lights you can move around at runtime. You can disable them, enable them, change their color. However, they're also the most expensive. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have a baked light. A baked light. So a baked light, it doesn't even actually exist at runtime. The only thing it does is it contributes lighting and shadows into the light map. Now, the big thing that we did for Unity 5.6 in terms of lighting is that we brought this mix mode back. So we've completely re-implemented the way we implement mixed mode lighting. And a mixed mode light, what it does, it's a light that's able to, for static objects, cast the lighting and the shadows into the light map, but then still have the ability to, at runtime, for dynamic objects, such as your character, to still cast the shadow of the character onto the ground. And of course, you want to make sure that the character of the dynamic object, of the character that gets casted onto the ground, doesn't double shadow with the shadows of the static objects that were already put into the light map. Okay, so those are two things. The Light Explorer, completely re-implemented mixed mode lighting. And then the third and the biggest new lighting feature in Unity 5.6 is a brand new progressive light mapper. Let me show you how it works. So I'm just going to zoom into this, to this market stall here. I think they sell vegetables, or like this one's actually sells skulls for some reason. I'm not sure what's up with that. And I'm gonna select this light here. So notice that this is an area light. And area lights are typically very expensive to calculate, but because this one is a baked light, we only bake it into the light map, so you're not paying for it at runtime. So I like to use them because these area lights give a very nice distribution of light. Let's see, how does this work again? I am going to change the color of this light. I'm going to make it a bit more red or pink. And because it's not a real-time light, you don't see the results. Only after a few seconds, as I was talking, did you see the sort of pink-reddish come up. And what you're actually seeing here is this pink-red coming up from the actual light map that was generated in these few seconds that I was talking. And that's really the killer feature of this new light mapper. It moves the first point of feedback very close in time. Where traditionally, it might have taken half an hour for the light map to fully bake. You can actually look in the bottom here. It says that before this light map is fully baked, it's probably going to take another 18 minutes. But you don't really care anymore, because you can already tell that this pink is probably not the most artistically well choice I could have made for this light. So the first point of feedback in your lighting, whether or not it's the color of a light or the position of a light or the intensity of a light, is much, much sooner, which allows you to iterate much, much faster. This is also, by the way, the progressive part of the progressive light mapper. It's that we first make a very low resolution version of the light map, and then we just continue to make it better over time. There's one more trick that we use to make sure that this first point of feedback is very soon, and that is that we make sure that we only light map the part of the scene that you're actually looking at. So if I'm going to quickly zoom out here, you'll notice that the only part of the scene that was actually light mapped is this part that I was looking at. And only now that I've zoomed out is it going to start actually baking the rest of the scene. And you can see that the light maps for that are going to come in like that. Okay, so those three things combined, the new Light Explorer, completely redone mixed mode lighting, and a brand new progressive light mapper, those three things combined, they make sure that Unity 5.6 delivers an artist experience for lighting scenes that is much better than ever before. Now, continuing on the topic of graphics, Unity 5.6 also ships with out-of-the-box support for Vulkan. Vulkan is a new low-level graphics API, and we've teamed up with ARM and Infinite Dreams to take a look at the effect of what happens when you run their game Skyforce Reloaded on Vulkan instead of on OpenGLES. Let's take a look. So what you're looking at here on the right side is this game running on OpenGLES, and on the left side it runs on Vulkan. It's running on a Samsung Galaxy S7, and it's the exact same content on both sides, and what we're seeing is about like a 10 to 15% reduction in battery consumption. So that's pretty cool. And I love telling this story because when a new graphics API like Vulkan shows up, or when a new platform shows up, it's really the area where Unity really, really shines for its developers. Because Unity developers, they don't have to spend the time and money to port their game to Vulkan to get these performance improvements. If you build your game on Unity, these kinds of performance improvements, they are just delivered to your doorstep for free in the shape of a checkbox. In the shape of a checkbox. So that's Vulkan. Actually, we have a talk about Vulkan, about sort of our implementation of it, which is Thursday at 10 a.m. in the West Hall, if you're interested in that. Another graphics API that has seen some love in Unity 5.6 is Metal. We've extended our Metal support to have Metal compute shaders and to have the ability to run the Unity editor itself on Metal, which is great because it allows you to already see what your content looks like in Metal without having to deploy to the device. And we have a guest speaker with us here today who's been taking advantage of Metal for their newest game, and I'd like to invite to stage Tae-Hoon Kim, founder and CEO of Nway.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, Tae-Hoon.
Yep.
Good to have you.
Super excited to be here. Thank you very much for inviting us here. So Nway was founded in 2011 with the vision of developing console-quality, synchronous multiplayer games for the mobile and browser platforms. We're based in San Francisco, and we have been using Unity since 2011 to develop our first game, Chronoblade. Creating mobile games with high-quality AAA console-like graphics is one of the pillars of our company, and using Unity allows us to achieve this while maintaining high frame rate and graphical fidelity in our games. Unity's tools and community support also make developing online multiplayer games very easy, including our latest project, Power Rangers Legacy Wars. So Power Rangers Legacy Wars is a real-time multiplayer fighting game that features Rangers from the new movie, as well as fan-favorite Rangers and villains from the Power Rangers multiverse. This is the first time that players can play a synchronous mobile fighting game over the network, and we're very, very excited. Using Unity allowed us to achieve high-end graphics for both Android and iOS without requiring any customization work or sacrificing performance. At Nway, we strive to create console-quality game experiences on mobile devices so that when people play them, others pay attention. A prime example of that is when iOS devices using Apple's A7 onward processors run our games, basically post-iPhone 5S devices, that take advantage of Apple's new Metal API. We noticed significant performance improvements on these devices for both graphical and non-graphical aspects of our game. They helped us provide that extra realism, detail, and interactivity while running at high frame rate. You'll notice Metal shine during our demo of the Legacy Wars. So we'd like to show you what we're talking about, and we brought some special guests and helpers who have experience with this subject matter. So please welcome to the stage Ludi Lin, the Black Ranger from the upcoming Power Rangers movie, and Jason Devin Frank, Green Ranger from the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Hey guys. So Power Rangers Legacy Wars is a real-time head-to-head mobile fighting game where players create teams of Rangers and villains from Power Rangers history, including the upcoming feature film. And this game marks the first time ever that players will be able to fight with Rangers from different eras and villains side by side. So today we have the real Rangers from the past and the present ready to fight each other on stage and game. So Ludi's going to play himself, the Black Ranger. JDF is going to play Green Ranger himself. And I'm really wondering who's going to win. Who do you think is going to win, Lucas?
All right. Only me? Yes.
3, 2, 1, go!
So Legacy Wars is a little bit unique in that it's not a button mash game. We have the energy system you can see at the middle, where we regenerate, and you have to be smart about what to do at the right time. This makes a synchronous gameplay where you're playing live human opponent much more exciting and that's better.
Ow. I'm so losing this bet.
That's all right. Here we go.
Come on.
Black Ranger right there for you. I don't play video games. Oh. All right, Pink.
Looks like we're going to make a comeback. Ooh. Oh,
no.
Winner.
Oh, no.
Green Ranger is supposed to be the most powerful ranger in the multiverse, right? So that's our demo. Do you guys have anything to add for us?
Yes, the video game comes out March 23rd. It's available on iOS and Androids. And I tell you what, I can't wait to battle players from around the world. I'm very excited about it.
With video games than movies, right? So check under your seats right now because you'll find tickets to Power Rangers, the movie, premiering in March on the 24th.
Woohoo!
Free tickets.
Yes!
So I can't wait to sit around playing video games with everyone around the world and watch the movie with everybody. So I want to give a big thanks to Adam Tickets and, of course, Lionsgate. So powerful thank you, and come watch the movie. Go, go, go.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dahun.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Don't leave just yet. Don't leave just yet.
Thank you so much.
I know we have to compete with the movie, but bear with us. All right. So that wraps up graphics for Unity 5.6. Lots of features in the area of lighting, metal compute, and there's actually also a completely new video player. It runs natively on all the different platforms that's able to run 4K video, which is great if you want to do like 360 VR. So let's move on to quality and stability. John mentioned that we spend a lot of time and effort and energy into making sure that when we ship Unity, we ship it as the highest level of quality and stability that we can. However, we're not the only ones that are trying to ship high-quality software. Obviously, Unity developers themselves are also trying to do that. And I want to show you one of Unity's online features that helps people with that. Let's take a look. So, as it's one of Unity's online features, I have it open in my browser here. Let me just refresh that to just be sure. So what I have here is a system that lets you see what kind of problems exist with your game in the wild. So let's pretend, I heard from a coworker that they were trying the game and that they saw some sort of error message that mentioned something about a crate. I can go in here and I can actually search this database for crate. And I can see that there's actually been 54 reports of this problem. Let's take a look at what it looks like. You can get an overview of the call stack of this problem. And you can see when the problem started happening. It started happening on February 17, and it looks like it's actually still happening to this day. So maybe February 17, you remember like, oh yeah, that was kind of when I changed this thing. Yeah, maybe that was me. You can see the kinds of devices and OSs it happens on and the version of your game. Now, what we added to the system for Unity 5.6, hear me, Unity 4.6, that was a long time ago. That one was cool too, actually. So for Unity 5.6 is we added support for native crashes. So if you have a native plugin that crashes, or maybe Unity itself crashes on your game, you can actually find these now too. So if I have a native crash right here, you can see that if the crash happens in C++, we actually give you a full C++ call stack that will give you more information as to figuring out why the hell this is happening. This game I have here, Tanks, actually is a very good example of a game that uses many of Unity's online features very effectively. If I go to the analytics part of this website, I can check out how many people are actually playing my game, how many sessions there are. I can check out my MAUs and my DAUs and my ARP DAUs. I can do funnel analysis to figure out, that maybe all my players are actually leaving the game after level 4. So maybe that one is too hard, or too easy, or too long. This game also uses Cloud Build. If I select that, Cloud Build is an online feature where you can have the Unity servers actually make the builds for your game, so that you don't have to wait for them to finish for you to continue to work locally. As you can see here, I have this thing set up for a whole bunch of iOS and Android variations and some Windows ones. And if I just want to, let's say I have a fix for that crate problem, if I just publish that fix and I want to make a build, instead of making the build on my own machine, why not have Unity do it? So I'm going to just click Start New Build here because I can, and it's going to start all of them. And when they finish, let me just take a finished one here. When they're finished and you want to send this build to maybe the producer of your game or a client if you're doing a contract job, or in my case, mostly my mom, you would click the share button. My mom has an Android phone, so I take an Android one, and I would just share. I would just send her this link, and she's able to play the build just like that. This game also uses Collaborate, which is in open beta right now. And Collaborate is a feature where you can have Unity host your source code and make it easier to work with multiple people on the same project. Collaborate, it's in open beta right now. You can sign up at unity3d.com/collaborate. And all these different online features that I've showed you, they're all available in Unity 5.6 today. So I very much recommend that you take advantage of them. All right, on the topic of efficiency is probably my favorite demo of today. Efficiency, developer productivity. The biggest thing in this area in Unity 5.6 is that we're shipping a whole new set of navigation tools. Let's take a look. I have my demo right here, and I have a navigation mesh in the scene. And if I hit play, you can see my character is running around, and she gets chased by a shark for no apparent reason. You can already see that this nav mesh surface is no longer a scene-based thing, but it's actually a component right here. And because it's in a component, I can have more than one. So let me add one. I'm going to do nav mesh surface. And for this one, I'm actually going to say that the agent type is going to be for a bit bigger agent. It's going to be for a shark-sized character. I'm going to bake it. And then you see that I have two navigation meshes in the same scene. Let me go to my Sharkman here and convince him that he is a shark. Hit play. And now you can see that the character is able to pass through these two tables, but the shark actually gets stuck. Now, because these nav mesh surfaces are now components, that means they can also exist on prefabs. So let me just take this prefab here and throw it in the scene. There you go. So now you can notice that this prefab, it has a pre-baked navigation mesh on it. And if you look closely, there's a new component here, the nav mesh link, which connects these two navigation meshes to each other. And it doesn't only do that like at the position of the link here in the middle, but it does it across the whole width of this blue rectangle over here. Bless you. Let's hit play, see what happens. So the character is able to go there, and she's able to navigate to the other navigation mesh as well. So that means I can have more than one navigation mesh, I can connect them dynamically, and also they can have any orientation you want, so you can now also use it for 2D games. And the best thing about it, what I like most, is that you can do all of this at runtime as well. Let me show you. I have a scene here that generates a procedural maze every time you hit play. Let's take a look. So this mesh was just generated dynamically, and I set it up so that the character follows this target around. So if I'm just going to tell her to go there, she'll just go there. And let's try what happens if I start to modify the scene at runtime. So notice that we're in play mode, so this is in runtime. I can just take this block, delete it, take that one, these guys. Maybe I want to move this one here, maybe move that one there, maybe take one of these blocks and move it all the way up. Now, if I'm going to move the target again, notice that the navigation mesh is going to rebake around this new geometry. Let's take a look. There you go. So these four things combined, the fact that you can have more than one in a scene, the fact that you can hook them up together with nav mesh links, the fact that you can have them at any orientation you want, and the fact that you can do all of that at runtime means that this new set of navigation tools is applicable to a very wide range of games. Whether you want to make a 3D game or a 2D game, or a game that changes a lot, where the environment changes at runtime, or even a game that's completely procedurally generated, these navigation tools can work for you. And obviously, as with every release, there's always some news in the area of platform growth. Unity 5.6 adds yet again 2 more platforms to the never-ending crazy list. We have to make it all work. On the never-ending crazy list of platforms that Unity developers can bring their content to. And this time around, it's support for Google Daydream and Google Cardboard for Android as well as iOS. There's one more thing I want to mention. There's a package on the Asset Store that we're particularly fond of, and it's called TextMesh Pro. And I'm very happy to say that we are working to make TextMesh Pro part of Unity and available in Unity out of the box. In addition to that, we've made sure that the existing TextMesh Pro package, on the Asset Store is freely available today. So if you want to add text to your Unity project, go to the Asset Store and you can start using it today. Now, Unity 5.6, it's the latest release in this 2-year arc of the 5x cycle. The Unity 5x cycle has brought an enormous amount of new features, an enormous amount of improvements, bug fixes, and not to mention the enormous amount of new platforms that you can bring your content to. We're in the development team, we're incredibly proud of the whole 5x cycle and the 5.6 release specifically. And after all that, I'm sure you're very interested to figure out when and where you can get it. And I'm very happy to say that Unity 5.6 is in open beta today, so you can get it today at unity3d.com/beta. We also have it in our booth and the expo floor if you want to, we have all these scenes. If you think I'm cheating with the market style or want to make some things pink yourself, you can come and try it out. And we'll be shipping Unity 5.6 on March 31st this year. Thank you very much. That's it for me. Please help me welcome the next speaker to the stage, Ingrid Lestillo, who's in charge of making sure that Unity developers can make money with their games. Ingrid?
Thank you, Lucas. Hi, everyone. So how many of you want to hire more people to build your next big game idea? No? How many people want more marketing budget to acquire new players? Any of you want to be the next Colossal Order, Alchemy, or Next Games? So many of you have these ambitions, and you all want your games to succeed. As you know, one of our principles at Unity is to enable developer success. And what that means for the developer revenue team is figuring out how to make you more money so that you can achieve all the goals that you just said you wanted. So let's take a look at a few of the developers who've done just that. Let's start with Next Games. So Sarah Bergstrom is one of Next Games' first employees and their CMO. And she told me this great story on how they started with just 4 people 3 short years ago. And initially funded by VCs, they created 2 free-to-play mobile games, Walking Dead, No Man's Land, and Compass Point West. Now, as we all know, VC funds don't last forever. So they chose to incorporate in-app purchase and shortly thereafter advertising. And they smartly incorporated advertising in their game, Compass Point West, as wagons, and made it a beloved part of the game. So much so that when the wagons went away, the players asked for their goods. They wanted more ads. That's so crazy. And of course, that drove both engagement and revenue at the same time. And their strategy paid off. So in just 3 short years, they grew their studio from just 4 people to 70 people. And they became profitable last year and grew their revenue by 3 times. And hot off the press, they announced their intentions to IPO just yesterday. Another great but different story is Colossal Order, led by CEO Marina Halikainen. So against all advice, Marina decided to launch a PC-based simulation game, City Skylines, when everyone else were developing mobile games. So with odds against them and a few $100,000 of loans, Marina knew they had to make money right away and chose the premium model. She partnered with Paradox to help with marketing and distribution. And their bets paid off. So since 2009, they've grown their studio from just 5 people to 18 people. And they grew their revenue by 15 times in 2 years. And all of this while remaining independent and owning 90% of the company. Amazing. So what's the secret ingredient? What do both of these stories have in common? Well, they all intuitively understood that to keep on creating, they needed to get the player lifetime value to exceed the cost of acquiring these players. Simply put, they needed to earn more than they spent. So as we saw, there are 2 ways to get to the right player lifetime value. One is a free-to-play model using ads and in-app purchase, just like Next Games. And second is a premium model, just like Colossal Games. And Unity makes it super easy for you to succeed regardless of what business model you adopt. With that, I'm really excited to introduce you to Alex and Devin, founders of Alchemy Labs. Now, Alchemy is the maker of many hit games, including one of the most successful VR game, Job Simulator. And Alex and Devin will share with us the story on why they decided to launch all their games across 18 different platforms and adopt both of these business models at the same time. Now, welcome, Alex and Devin.
Hey everybody, my name is Alex. I'm the founder and CEO and janitor of Alchemy Labs.
And I'm Devin, CTO of Alchemy Labs.
So we've been using Unity since 2010. We've been making games in for mobile and desktop, and in fact, Unity was a Mac-only game engine when we first started using it. We built a number of original games together that generated just enough revenue to kind of continue moving on to the next game and stay this small, kind of tight-knit team. This is Smuggle Truck, or Snuggle Truck, depending on where you heard of it, one of our first titles. You could see a truck bounding over a moose with some physics-based gameplay. Classic.
Our next game, Jack Lumber, was a game about a supernatural lumberjack who was out for revenge because a tree killed his granny. So you chop logs in the sky, normal lumberjacking stuff.
We also helped build which is 25 A's in a row and 5 exclamation points, if you want to write that down. It's a crazy over-the-top skydiving and base jumping game. You basically float through a city in the future trying to skirt by buildings and parachute without getting killed on the way down.
And then there's Discourse, our silly choose-your-own-adventure style book game made video game form about survival. You play a barista who's trying not to get things like getting killed by sharks and eaten or cannibalized by your fellow survivors.
So here we were, from our tiny team back in 2011 to 2015, we were about 4 people, scaling up and down based on contractors and needs of the project, and we were all remote. In fact, we did everything over Skype together. Here's us celebrating the launch of Discourse together. We would actually sometimes, we would leave Skype open for hours on end just to simulate working together in the same room. And we shipped our games on almost every single platform that Unity ever supported, including some crazy platforms that don't exist anymore and some that were in early alpha. This was our way of mitigating risk as a small indie studio, because we could bring in revenue from one platform and another, but combined we could weather the storm as an indie and stay sustainable.
And then the Oculus Rift Kickstarter happened. When we received our first DK1, we knew that VR was going to be a thing this time. So we did the thing that we normally don't do. We dropped everything, and we instantly got to work on bringing to VR in a form of Oculus. We ended up...
Yep.
We ended up learning a ton during that development process. This was back before any best practices guides even existed, and we ended up launching on Steam as the first VR game on Steam that wasn't made by Valve.
So at this point, we were kind of traveling around talking about VR, eating, sleeping, drinking VR, and just thinking about it every day. And we got this amazing opportunity to go try Valve's Room demo. And honestly, this was like a religious epiphany when it came to VR and tracking. That when you have high-end sub-millimeter tracking and you can move about a space, it changes everything. And we knew from Alchemy's standpoint, this was going to be our future moving forward. And so we got approached by Valve to build basically a showpiece for the then unannounced HTC Vive. And we said, of course, we're going to do that. And since we were all remote, we actually ended up flying up to Devin's house in the Arctic tundra of Manitoba, Canada. And we set out to build a GDC demo for the Vive. And we had only 1 week with this one piece of new hardware to try to build this together.
So once we got the hardware, we started experimenting what was possible. And one of the first things we did was we made this little table in VR, and we went and put a few cubes on it, and all of a sudden, instantly it hit. It was physics with your hands was truly magical. So this is how Job Simulator was born. We realized that we had stumbled on something that was incredible, this childlike sense of wonder and humor that had never been possible before you had VR with hands.
So we ended up shipping Job Simulator on launch day on all the VR platforms that had motion controllers. And so we were a launch title on the HTC Vive, PlayStation VR, as well as Oculus Touch, all on day 1. And we ended 2016 with over $3 million in revenue from Job Simulator, and that was thanks to our multi-platform strategy across those top headsets. We even garnered some amazing awards along the way, really humbling, to get recognized for our interaction design and for our approach to VR, including a Sundance Film Festival Award and Best VR Game at the Unity Awards. So thank you, guys. And we even ended up being the #1 top-selling VR game on the PlayStation Store in 2016, which was completely insane. And it really showed how people wanted to use their hands to interact with virtual worlds. And so that was vindication for us with being so interested in manipulating things with your hands.
So Unity was and continues to be an incredible part of our success. We've, right from day one, prototyping really quickly has been incredibly important, and multi-platform has been a focus for us. So rather than spend time working on an engine, we want to focus on actually building the games and doing that game design. So throughout all of this, we grew the team up to 25 people. So here's a picture of our house, office, and a Silicon Valley style. And then more recently, actually getting a real office.
Yep. So I think it's honestly true. We would have gone out of business in the early days if it wasn't for Unity. You know, it's been awesome having what's essentially a remote engine team building features, doing ports for us, while we can focus on just making great games. So from working remotely out of our home 6 years ago to today, it's been 6 years building on Unity, and so here's to 6 more. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Alex and Devin. What an inspiring story. So now we understand that figuring out how to price your in-app purchase and integrating yet another advertising SDK is not why you all get up in the morning. We know that mobile games have to integrate multiple SDKs, sometimes up to 10. That is just super painful. We know that to implement in-app purchase, you have to manage multiple app stores. And sometimes things change, breaking your app, making you resubmit your app again, costing you revenue. And we want you to be spending more time using the features that Lucas just presented, like Metal or the progressive light mapper, because we know that this is just not the most fun part of your job. But you know what? It is fun for us. Solving these really hard problems is our team's passion. We wake up every morning trying to figure out how to earn you more money today than yesterday. So let me give you a quick example of how we try to do this. Our goal with Unity IAP is to give you hours of your life back by integrating with 10 different app stores and tracking those changes so you don't have to. So your app doesn't break and you don't lose out on revenue. So not only that, you can implement this without an SDK and without writing any code. It's codeless IAP. So not only we want to take the hassles out of making money for you, we want to make you a global success. Now, China is the #1 games market in the world. And we want all of you to succeed in China. Now, that can be quite challenging because there are so many different app stores, government regulations to navigate. But together with Xiaomi, we want to take the complexity out of all of that. Xiaomi is the largest handset manufacturers and app stores in China. And we announced our partnership with Xiaomi last year at Unite LA. And now, please welcome Mr. Jerry Sheng, VP of Xiaomi, to tell us more about the progress that we've made so far. Jerry.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I worked for Xiaomi, the leading mobile phone company in China. Let's show a video about Xiaomi.
In China, Xiaomi is the earliest and the largest mobile internet company specialized in smart devices. Born for you, born for me is Xiaomi's product concept. Mi phones boast the largest number of young Android users, like Xiaomi series, Redmi series, and the latest Mix series. These are all world's top 10 best-selling phones. Until now, we have sold out 200 million Mi phones. Every day, there are about 100 million users get access to mobile internet by Mi phones. In China, with the most active users, MIUI is the most popular operating system based Android. It provides almost all services and tools. The users always use Xiaomi apps and game downloading services. We've created a MIUI Developer Portal, our own developer platform. There are tens of thousands of games on this platform. 10% are IAP games. In 2016, the number of game downloads reached 2.2 billion, and the number of app downloads reached 6 billion. 300 million revenue sharing goes to the developers.
In 2016, the game developers made $300 million with Xiaomi. But most of these developers come from China. Why? Because of some problems, the game outside China cannot be downloaded by the Chinese users. What's the problems? The first, there's no App Store and localization support. And the Unity did not support the Chinese platform. And getting a publishing license is difficult. Of course, some large studio can easily find a Chinese publisher to deal with all of these problems. In fact, less than 50 foreign games published in Chinese Android market each year. Yeah, less than 50 games. So a simple solution is needed. As you know, there is no Google Play in China. Developers have to find another platform to provide with download, user accounts, payment, and settlement service. That's where Xiaomi comes in. Today, I'm happy to announce there will be full support for the Xiaomi platform in Unity. Okay, then developers can submit a game for the Chinese market in only 4 steps. And the game will be published in China, need to get the publishing license from the government. Xiaomi can help the developers with necessary legal and fees. To make this simple, Unity and Xiaomi made a developer portal with service. We hope open China to every Unity creator. My pleasure to share this news to you. For more information, please visit the website behind me. Xiaomi welcomes you to China. Thank you.
All right. So Unity, together with Xiaomi, we're ready to help bring your apps to China. We're going to help open up the Chinese Android market, help you with localization, and take the mystery out of getting a publisher license from the government. Now, not only do we want to make you a global sensation, but we want to make it really easy for you to acquire new players. And what better way to do that than to give you access to Facebook's 1.8 billion users through their new PC gaming platform, Game Room. So please welcome Leo Olebe, Director of Global Gaming Partnerships at Facebook, to tell you how you can take advantage of the social power of Facebook. Leo.
Awesome. Thanks, Ingrid. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here with Unity at GDC. Thank you for having us. Back in November, we announced that Facebook support in Unity was available as a beta feature for developers. Today, I'm pleased to tell you that the upcoming release of Unity 5.6 will include the commercial release of the new Facebook build target. We're excited to be partnering with the #1 game development platform, Unity, to provide the ability for developers to easily bring their games to Facebook. As you know, Facebook has a global audience of over 1.8 billion people. That's a lot of people and a lot of gamers. In addition, we're excited to announce that for developers using Unity IAP to implement payments, Facebook support will also be included alongside the release of Unity 5.6. With the introduction of the new Facebook support functionalities in Unity, we want to, 1, minimize the friction points and cost for developers to rapidly deploy to Facebook. 2, provide easy integration into games of Facebook services like login, payments, notifications, sharing, etc. 3, open up new distribution channels for developers to grow and monetize, especially leveraging the reach of Facebook. Most importantly, you'll be able to bring your games to the new destination we just rolled out late last year, Game Room. Let's take a look. There's John Ema over there. So today, let's see, where do we go? We're going back. Today, we're pleased to announce that premium content is going to be coming soon in Game Room. It's actually available now. Whether your game costs $1, $5, $10, $20, $50, you name it, you can now put your premium games on the platform. So there's John Ema over there. He's going to be playing Sky Hill. We're excited to be able to not only offer new content for the people who play, but also even more opportunities for developers to get their games in front of a global audience. Whether you want to play free games, premium games, AAA games, indie games, if you want to watch games, share games, or even just talk about games, you name it, we want Game Room to be a part of your community. So if you don't yet have Game Room, all you got to do is go over to GameRoom.com and download it today. And developers, if you want to put your game onto Game Room, just go to fb.me/Game Room. Thank you.
We're so proud to partner with Facebook and cannot wait to see what comes next. So, as you can see, it takes a village to make you successful. And with that, I hope you have a better understanding of how Unity, together with our partners, including Facebook and Xiaomi, can help fuel your ambition and keep on continuing to do what you love best, which is making amazing games. Now, success is a tough problem to solve and something that we're always working on to solve. Internally, Unity Labs is always thinking about how to future-proof your success with new technology. With that, please welcome Timony West, Principal Designer from Unity Labs, to tell you what she's been working on.
Gavin. Hi, everyone. And I want to give a special shout out to you in the front row with the HoloLens on. I see you. Today, I'll be talking about several exciting immersive projects that Unity will be focusing on over the next year. First, I want to give you an update on Editor VR. Since Labs launched the alpha version of Editor VR in December, it's been downloaded over 6,000 times. But what's really special about Editor VR is the community. We've already had users contribute code back into the code base. More importantly, we've had a variety of developers from around the world making really cool tools. So behind me, you'll see a few of these developers. So on the top left, we have Infinite Gesture VR, which uses deep learning to map gestures to functionality. And on the top right, we have Nevermind's amazing creation tools, which allows you to do signed distance field sculpting right in VR. On the bottom row, from left to right, We have Pro Builder, which allows you to build, texture, and edit meshes. Then we have Tavori's animation tools, which we first showcased at Unite LA. And then we have VR Camera, which allows you to bind any camera to any animation path in VR. And then up top in the middle here, we have Kinematic Soup's Scene Fusion. That's right, we have multi-user editing in Unity in VR. We're amazed by what's been done so far. Thanks to all of these teams for their incredible work. So let's give them a round of applause. We have been so inspired by the work that they've done that today we're going to announce a contest that we're having for the best editor VR tool. There's a cash prize, and the winner will be showcased and promoted at Vision Summit. So if you have a great idea for a tool that you'd like to build, you still have 62 days until May 1st, so get started. But we know that making immersive experiences is one of the most difficult things that you can do in 3D right now. The tools are just being made, the hardware is still first generation, and there are no standards yet. This is fun and this is empowering, but let's be honest, it can be really difficult, especially when you have to recode the same thing over and over again from scratch. So today, we're announcing a tool we think you'll be really excited about. We call it the XRFT, the XR Foundation Toolkit. It's a framework for XR developers that allows anyone, not just programmers, but artists and directors, random people who want to get into immersive design. We want to empower you to quickly get up to speed and start making experiences without needing to start from scratch. We want to give you the building blocks for interaction and locomotion and everything else you need. So here's some examples of the sorts of things we'll be including in the toolkit. We include cross-platform controller input systems. We have VR-specific shaders and custom physics systems. And of course, we'll be supporting all major AR and VR hardware systems. So to figure out what developers need most from the XRFT, we've been talking to a range of creators, from new developers who are learning the ropes at workshops and hackathons to seasoned VR studios that are making large-scale commercial experiences. We're supporting and working with partners like Oculus and Valve, and we're welcoming more partners to join with us to combine everything we've all learned making immersive experiences. We are heavily invested in making this a useful tool for the community. So we're going to have a public roadmap, and we'll be releasing the toolkit as a public open source beta over the next few months. Yeah, I know. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I do have one last thing I want to talk about today. Unity is proud to support artists who are pioneering the intersection between technology and art. As part of Unity's mission to enable success, I'm happy to announce that our search has begun to find a talented artist to be Unity's first ever artist in residence for spring 2017. She or he will get access to experimental tools and internal support at Unity. We're looking for ideas that will defy genre and challenge our traditional understanding of immersive experiences. The projects that they can develop can be any sort of immersive type, any augmented reality, virtual reality, or mixed reality. Through the course of building a series of groundbreaking projects, our artist in residence will engage with Unity's creative community while also providing valuable feedback that our dev team will then take and use to improve Unity's artist tools. So you can apply today, right now on our Unity's career page. And stay tuned, we'll be announcing the winner on the Unity blog within the next month. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you at Vision Summit in May.
Thanks, Timothy. So you've now seen kind of everything we wanted to show you today regarding Unity 5.6. And as we said, we're releasing that on March 31st, so I hope you're first in line. So next up is a discussion of what comes after Unity 5.6, what comes after Unity 5 series. And so we have a T-shirt to commemorate this. This is the Unity 2017. And what I would like to talk a little bit about is what stays the same and what changes. So as a starting point, what stays the same? We're the same focused on a spectacular tool for you as we switch into the next generation. What stays the same is we're going to continue to release blockbuster content every 3 to 4 months. What stays the same is we're going to continue to have an experimental build out there and a very stable build that you can rely on. And also, what stays the same is we're going to focus on graphics, quality and stability, efficiency, and platform growth. Now, what changes is we're dialing up our ambition even more. There was a big gap of 5 versus 4. We're a much bigger team today than we were. The ambitions we have for Unity 2017 are just that much higher. At every level, we're going to push it to the limit. And we're also adding a brand new focus area, artists and designers. Up until now, we focused exclusively, or really exclusively, on the needs of the programmer, the folks that make up 1/3 of your development team. The other 2/3, the artists and designers, were really left to fend for themselves. Well, that changes now, or maybe I should say, that changes with Unity 2017. Now, what I'd like to do is dig into Unity 2017 at a fairly high level. What we're going to talk about today, Joachim and I, is really what we're setting out to do, showing you PowerPoint. When we get to Amsterdam in a few short months, we'll show you actually demonstrations of virtually everything we're talking about today. With that, I'd like to invite my partner, my friend, the CTO and founder of Unity to the stage. Joachim. So, click. One click. So, I want to talk a little bit about how we're going to be doing this. So, we're basically going to tackle each of the focus areas, starting with graphics. We're going to do it this way. Each of these slides shows the headline or the focus area. In this case, it's graphics. And on the right side is a list of features and functions that we're bringing to life with Unity 2017. Now, we don't have time today to dig into each of them, so we've decided to focus. I'm going to cover the high level, and Joachim's going to dig into what he knows better than any man on earth, which is the technology that underpins it. Now, we're going to start with graphics. Now, the notion on graphics is, once upon a time, I think it was fair to say that Unity was the best tool for an independent developer that wanted to make something good. I think with Atom Post, we got to a place where you could make the world's best games, but we were one of many choices. Our ambitions with Unity 2017 are nothing short of having Unity be the single best tool for making the most beautiful and amazing games.
Exactly. So, in the area of graphics, we have a ton of stuff coming. But there's one in particular that I want to focus on. So, we're working on a scriptable render pipeline. And basically, in that, we're rebuilding our rendering architecture from the ground up. Today, we have fixed render loops written in C++. That is specifically a forward render loop and a deferred render loop. Also, we support a huge variety of GPUs, each with their own trade-offs, from mobile, tile-based architectures to VR on high-end PCs. We also have anything from simple 2D games to complex 3D games. And what we find is that fitting all these trade-offs into just 2 fixed render loops is proving difficult. So our new scriptable render pipeline will expose a solid, low-level API that lets you configure high-performance C++ multi-threaded render loops, basically keeping all the high-level control over the render loop in C#. And so this architecture lets us build render pipelines specifically for different hardware and different types of games. An HD render pipeline using tile deferred is used for console, high-end PC, and high-end mobile games, while a dedicated mobile render loop is built specifically for the graphics hardware found in mobile devices. And today, any major rendering engine has some built-in limitations. A generic render loop can only go so far. But with the render pipeline, you can work against a robust, low-level rendering API in C#, and you can control exactly how rendering should work in your game, really fitting it exactly to your needs. And so I think this architecture is really a huge step in terms of both flexibility and performance that we will have in Unity.
So earlier when I said we wanted Unity to be the single best place for making the world's best games, this is one of the key reasons. It basically eliminates the limitations of a standard renderer. You can do anything you can dream. So next up, we're going to talk about efficiency. Now, this is where we try to improve your productivity, make your job easier, flow better. We want to get the workflows right. In particular, while we focused earlier on over the years on getting a game started, a huge emphasis for now with Unity 2017 is that last 20%, going from essentially a reasonably built game to being able to publish it swiftly, efficiently, and productively.
So on efficiency, again, we're doing a ton of stuff, but this is really the area that I love to work on the most. And what really stands out in that area is the C# job system. And in short, we're working on making C# a great language for high-performance computation. First, we will bring APIs to easily schedule C# jobs, so you can easily write multi-threaded code. Now, multi-threading is hard. Writing safe multi-threaded code is exceptionally difficult. Game programmers spend countless sleepless nights debugging race conditions, and that is not fun. And when I think about Unity, I always thought about Unity as a safe sandbox where you can play and experiment. And this idea, it applies in the same way to multi-threading. So we built a C# job system that comes with a complete safety system that detects any possible race conditions that you might create in your game, and then gives you very precise error messages, effectively teaching you how to make your multi-threaded code robust. Additionally, we've also been working on a brand new compiler technology. And we will basically take that C# jobified code that you write, and we'll use our custom compiler technology to automatically vectorize the code and generate extremely efficient code for the target platform. So our goal is for you to write C# code that significantly outperforms similar code written in C++.
So think about this for a minute. Only the largest scale teams ever begin to tackle multi-thread coding. It's just too hard. You've heard earlier today from teams of 4 or 8, John Erner bringing the group size from 20 to 8. You'd never get that level of specialization to do this level of performance coding. We're basically leveling the playing field for a small developer or a mid-sized developer to compete for the very, very, very best. Now a team that is 4 or 8 or 10 can compete with the sophistication of a 200-person team. An amazing, amazing change. So next up, we're going to talk about platform growth and optimization. And I tell you, there's nothing that would make me happier than tearing up about a dozen NDAs and telling you what's coming next. I don't think that's a very wise move to do. I got a general counsel out there, somebody would tell me not to do that. So instead of announcing platforms that are still under NDA that we're working on, we're going to talk about a tool that enables you to do a better job with multi-platform development.
So Unity has always been great at prototyping. And when you're using the editor to change properties or assets, everything is always live. This is what you're used to. But with all these target platforms that we support, developers want to deploy directly to the target device. And today, that actually takes time. What we really want is to work with the same iteration speed that we're used to from the editor, and we want to work with that speed on the device. So we're working on a new system that lets you deploy changes to the content directly from the editor to the device. You change something in the editor, Unity will deploy it, the changed assets to the device live, and they appear almost instantly. So I think this is a huge deal, particularly in the later stages of shipping your game.
So I've seen this, and it's nothing short of instant magic. I'm sure it'll delight you. So next up is a new focus area for us, artists and designers. Now, up until now, or really today, Unity has been focused on the programmer. We really don't have the features and tools to support artists and designers inside of a team. And with 2017, that's going to change. We have a phased release of so many new features and so much new capability that will take place starting with the launch of Unity 2017 and beyond. So what this means is whether you're a technical artist, you're an animator, you're a lighting designer, or any of the other disciplines, you go from being outside the team to right in the middle, collaborating with your programmers in a much more productive way. Put another way, you go from being in the back of the plane to a first-class customer of Unity. We welcome you to us.
Exactly. So content creation, artists and designers is a really big focus for us. But there's one initiative that really marks a big shift for us, and that's visual scripting. There are a lot of different visual scripting solutions out there, but none of them really work well all the way from prototyping, maintaining, debugging, and then deploying high-performance, shipping quality visual scripts. And we think that it is important to have visual representations for specific domains. Audio designers are used to visual tools that are different than those who are making gameplay for a level, or technical artists creating shader graphs. We need custom solutions and UI for each profession. But behind all of that, we want to make sure that artists and programmers can work side by side. Artists look at the world visually, programmers through code. But the ability to look and edit in both forms at the same time, I think that will lead to these professions being able to interact much more naturally than today. We're also very focused on the performance aspect of visual scripting. I believe there's no reason why visual scripts should run any slower than well-written code. There's much more to say about content creation. And so with that, I would like to invite Natasha Tatashuk on stage. She's amazing and just joined us from come on.
I'll need a click.
And she just joined us to head up our graphics team and will tell us some more about content creation.
And confuse you properly about Natasha and Natalia. Both of my names, I'm still one person, I am not a clone. Thank you, Joachim. So as far as I can remember programming, and this will age me, it's a little screenshot of a Martian rendering environment. As far as I can remember programming, I've been passionate about computer graphics, in particular, real-time rendering. I've spent about 20 years chasing this passion, and I recently joined Unity just after having a ton of a great time, having a blast helping ship Destiny from Bungie, where I was the graphics lead and engineering architect on a multi-platform, multi-threaded renderer. So all of the things that you've heard today were definitely the reality we were living. And before that, I was the graphics research and demo team lead at AMD, helping drive and define graphics APIs such as DirectX 11, and also working tightly with the hardware architecture team to actually define hardware features that became, for example, the basis for PlayStation 4 and some of the other modern GPUs. And I also developed a few graphics algorithms along the ways that became popular in high-end game rendering. Now at Unity, my role is to help define the vision for the future of graphics. And it is a vision that I'm really excited to share with you guys here. I'm here to tell you some of the things we're doing right now and more about things that we will be doing in upcoming years. The core of the vision is that for our users, for you guys, to be able to achieve scalable beauty without tears through assisted artistry. And I'm going to break down this vision a little bit more. And essentially, there are two key components to it. We need to solve scalability aspects, and we need to tame complexity of content creations. These are two sides of the same coin, and they go hand in hand. Now, the hardware landscape, you saw all the platforms that we are supporting. The hardware landscape is evolving so quickly. And yet, as we gain computational power and memory available on each of the high-end platforms and even mobile devices right now, this computational power is simply stupendous. But all of that juicy graphics power, it's pretty hard to harvest from a deeply fragmented ecosystem, both for high and low-end systems. And we want you to be able to reach as many players as you want to. All of the successes that you've heard here do rely on ability to reach many platforms. And that means that we need to support them, and we need to support them in excellent form. while maintaining all the beautiful and performant graphics. And of course, we don't want you to shed a tear while you're working on these. Now, one of the key problems for us to solve in the next 5 years is scalability. Scalability is a core pillar for the future of real-time graphics. It's easy to hear this and say, oh, it's just a buzzword, and dismiss it and move on. So I'm going to zoom in on this word for a second just to give you a better idea. Now, the present game platform is deeply fragmented. All of this hardware has different specification, variety of API features, ranging from mobile VR to PC and consoles, and even multi-GPU high-end VR rigs. Now, managing this fragmentation is extraordinarily difficult, and I actually did this myself. You need to worry about a variety of computational resources. You need to create different code paths. You need to also create different content. And all of this not only introduces pain, but increases production time and cost. And these also need to be accounted for different styles. So for example, Unity, we have a variety of different visual elements. We have wide vistas with foliage-dense scenes. We can render them at 4K or at 1080p, whatever the game designer is choosing. We also have 2D puzzle games and as many game styles as you guys can think of. Now, a modern game engine needs to handle the platforms well. We don't want you to think about the pain of converting to all the individual SDKs. We don't want you to think about the workloads that are specified for each platform. The engine needs to react dynamically to varied throughput. And it needs to make intelligent choices about each platform constraint. It also needs to be able to adjust the rendering pipeline according to the platform and according to the workload it's running on to achieve scalability of throughput and scalability of pipeline. Now, of course, for us, that is the reason why we needed to focus on the scriptable render pipeline architecture. And this has continued to be a core focus for our graphics going forward. And this year, we're bringing, as Joachim just said, this particular architecture for you guys to experiment and start integrating. And we're going to be building specific pipelines for VR, for mobile, for high-end rendering. And I'm really excited about this because this is an architecture that I believe is going to enable Unity to have the desired level of configurability for our rendering, to harvest all that power from each platform in specific ways, for each game type, in each rendering style. And more importantly, this is also the architecture that is necessary to have a future-proof engine. Now, I want to zoom back out and take a moment to shift focus on the next hard problem, which is taming the content complexity. We want to do this through assisted artistry, or another way to think of it is scalability of content creation. Now, the hunger for high-end rendering quality will not be sated. We are seeing more and more fidelity for content, and so you can think of it as computational power and essentially content complexity are always marching in lockstep. With additional cycles of the SIMD processing unit or memory bandwidth growth, we'll see characters that can have more varied and more complex appearance. We'll see detailed environment where everything is reactive and physically simulating. The expectation of this visual fidelity will continue to grow, and it really grows exponentially if you look over the landscape of the last 5 years. And frankly, as a game developer, it continues to kick our behind. Right? This is one of the biggest challenges the game industry has had to face in the recent decade. And yet in many ways, when we look at the methods of content creation, they're pretty tired. They have not matured to deal with this content complexity, and they have been left behind. And so to help with this challenge, what we will do here is we will focus on innovating in scalability of content creation. And what I mean by this is, let's take this example. We were looking at the lighting workflow that Lucas was just breaking down for you. So what he didn't mention is somebody had to go and place those lights in that room, right? Like when we look at the light workflow of a lighting artist, they need to manually place all the light probes, the representations around the room. Now we can use the engine knowledge about the platform that this particular game will run on, about the type of game that it is, and we can use this information to drive the desired performance and memory constraint and automatically pre-place the light probes using the information about the level that we have in the engine and using the information about the memory footprint of your mobile or VR platform or a console, and then essentially give you a really great starting point. So the lighting artist can have automatic step for coming in and working with their light probes. We can generate 80% of all the information for the light probe information, for the parameters for the specific lights, using the information in the room automatically. And what that does is the lighting artist then doesn't have to manually and tediously place everything in the room. They can come in and quickly interact and polish the resulting lighting to really focus on the thing that they do best, which is extracting emotional impact from this environment. Now, the other benefit of this is, aside from really giving the power to the experts, for in this example, a lighting expert, what this also does is a programmer like me, who may not be the best at placing lights and doing the information in the way that creates that visual impact, to have a great starting point. So we allow people to have no background in art to have a fantastic looking result with a few keystrokes. I love the idea of a better programmer art, right? Now, I believe it's crucial for us to focus on these assisted content workflows in order to enable faster iteration for artists. And it's really all about removing the tedious steps, the manual process, and by generating this quick starting point, using the contextual information, both about the level and about the platform, to allow content creators to iterate on the results quicker. And the goal is to let them achieve the creative vision that they want to play with. We'll be looking at every element of content creation. And what I mean by this is we're going to be driving every type of artistic workflow to become these guided assisted workflows. Anything from natural model-based terrain generation, from procedural placement of vegetation, decorators, decals. And we'll use the information on the level. For example, the terrain slopes, the lighting, and the, where is the sun in this level? What is the wind, etc., to drive the generation of the content using that information. And because we can use the knowledge of the targeted platform, we guide it with intelligent assistance to use the constraints of each platform. So for example, we know it might be able to handle only 8 light probes or 8 lights in real time for the VR rig. And that's easy for us to predict to give you a highly performant result, not just beautifully, looking quite nice. Now, in the example, we also can do, like in this forest, we also can do variation of the content fidelity based on the target platform. We can generate a denser forest or a less dense forest if we're going to, for example, a mobile platform versus a high-end console system. This direction gives us an opportunity to remove the monotony and manual effort to create content for varying visual fidelity and expectations, so you can reach different generations of platforms, giving us that scalability of content creation. Now, another point that I want to touch on is when you look at assets right now, current geometry and material representations in games are not future-proof. And they're often created specifically for a given platform. And what I mean by this is when a new platform comes along with more processing power and more memory capability, this asset typically needs to be scrapped and reauthored. And this is an extremely lossy and time-consuming process, costly. It doesn't scale. Now, to address this issue, we will work on scalable content representations, where we can have automatic LOD and have the actual LOD be inherently represented as part of the asset. The same way that the texture, for example, automatically handles creating smaller textures, mipping down, and automatically filtering so you don't see any pops as you go through your level seamlessly. Now, going beyond that, we want to leverage deep learning to help you with content variety and content generation. We want to do content generation using neural nets. And what I mean by that, looking at the example of the forest that you saw a few minutes ago, we can generate variety of the tree assets using the exemplars from the library, the training set that we will create, and generate new textures, new models, quickly allowing you to create visual fidelity of a deep, dense forest that is unique. And we will focus on pursuing the neural net-based content generation strongly because we believe it allows to democratize content creation. Right now, you need humongous teams to create polished, high-fidelity experiences. And we want to make it available for small teams to be able to create immersive, dense worlds with a lot of variety and uniqueness. And one of the biggest reasons why I am in graphics, the biggest driving force for my passion, is actually a deep desire to empower artists. From those folks who worked with me closely at Bungie, they know just how much I cared about good, intuitive workflows for the artists, because I have a deep desire to let them be creative, to be their best self. And I firmly believe that through their own sweat, blood, and tears, they create works of beauty. And no, what we want to do is we want to get rid of the tears. Simple, right? No problem. So, thank you. Small goal, really achievable. A giant team will get to work. So this is just a small example. Obviously, there's a lot of work ahead of us, and I believe that we simply scratch the surface in a domain that can go far beyond to help create really interactive and intuitive content. And this vision is fundamentally why I joined Unity. I believe this is a great place where we can help drive this with a talented graphics team and a number of other teams. We have deep learning, a lot of other functionality that we can leverage to create this exciting future. So with this, I'd like to bring Adam and Mike to talk a little bit more about some of the content creator pipeline that we have for 2017. Thank you.
Check, hello. Thanks, Natasha. Hi, everyone. I'm Adam Myhill. I'm the cinematic head for Unity and the creator of Cinemachine, the camera system.
And I'm Mike Weatherick, a product manager with the Montreal R&D team.
And we're going to show you a little bit about Timeline and Cinemachine, which are like totally BFFs.
So we're very excited to show you Timeline, our new multi-track sequencing tool. As you've seen with the Atom short, Timeline is great for linear movies or cutscene creation. And what we're going to show you today is that it's much more than just a cutscene tool.
Cinemachine is Unity's smart camera system. It's for gameplay cameras, it's for cutscene cameras, film, everything in between. It allows you to create cameras which follow your direction, and they shoot variable objects in real time. So let's jump into the demo. Okay, so the content we're going to show you today is from the game Ghost of a Tale by Seath Gallett, and he's going to be demoing this game downstairs at the expo hall, and it's beautiful. I suggest you take a look. Until recently, he's been the animation director for Despicable Me and the Lorax, and then he decided to go out on his own, and he basically single-handedly made this game. And we want to thank him for lending it to us. Seath, wherever you are, you're very talented. Thank you very much. So we've stripped out the scene in this example, and we've just got a couple of things working together. So what you see is this small little demo of the mouse. We're going to have an interactive object, and we're going to choreograph it all with Timeline.
So on the bottom, you can see the new Timeline window. You can easily drag in animations or audio, keyframe your own animations, or extend it with the new Playable API. One of the key game mechanics in Ghost of a Tale is stealth gameplay. As you explore the world, you'll encounter various enemies, and you have to sneak past them by hiding in objects like this chest here. What we've done is recreate some of these items using Timeline and Cinemachine. Let's see how it looks.
Okay, so we're going into gameplay.
I missed the play button.
And okay, that was terrifying. Okay, so we're running around. We're in a free-lit game, a free-lit camera. We got the timeline there. You can see the trigger volume. We run up. You start to play Timeline. I'm still in gameplay, but you can see we're choreographing the animations. We're blending between them. We got the audio. It's all triggered. You can drag any game object, throw it into Timeline, and choreograph it however you want.
So one thing we're missing is obviously cameras. So let's throw in a Cinemachine track here.
Okay. So how this works, you've got three clips. You've got the gameplay clip, which is calling the gameplay camera. You've got the procedural camera clip, which is in the middle, and then we blend back to gameplay. Now, what I want you to see here is, see how there's a little target on the mouse's eye? We're procedurally tracking his eye. So I don't know what the animation is going to be. It can be variable, but the camera is smartly tracking this. We can have dampening values, and the camera will respond appropriately to the animation. So it's actually kind of animation-proof. So let's give that a try. Something that's really hard, a lot of you will know this, is going seamlessly from your gameplay camera to a cutscene camera. But because Cinemachine is completely unified, you can just, through Timeline, blend from my gameplay camera straight into a cutscene. We're procedurally tracking them back. Now, Mike, let's tweak the graphics on level 4.
All right. So we can grab the new camera and...
So watch this. In the game view, you can recompose a shot. It's a whole new way of working with cameras. It's like inverse kinematics for cameras. You're not actually animating them directly. You're just defining what shot you'd like. So you can see Mike, he's dragging around the frame guides right in the game view window. Now let's blend Yeah, that was actually really hard to do that. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it's super fun. And then watch this at the end. We're just going to blend out of this a little bit faster, right? So see where the clips overlap? That's blending. It blends anything. And this is the power of timeline. You can have any of your assets in there, and if you overlap the clips, it'll blend. So we're just blending cameras here. Cutscene back into gameplay. So we can see that in action. And blend to this new shot with a new composition. So you get where this is going. Imagine cutscenes filled with many of these cameras, and they're all just figuring out the shots based on your direction. Okay, so let's get out of this scene. We're going to go to a bigger scene. It's got more stuff.
So this one's really cool because we have several timeline sequences working together to create what you see here. So even from, you just hit play, even from the beginning, we've got interactivity in our loading screen. We have UI elements, audio, a whole variety of things, all sequenced and perfectly timed using timeline.
We're even calling a modified gameplay camera free look. So actually the user still has a little bit of control even in the menu system, just to keep people engaged. Okay, I'm going to hit it. We're going to roll the timeline for the intro. So doing the UI animation.
This is all done with no coding at all. So
you can see that we're blending between different shots. They have different post effects, different depth of field settings, different focus distances. And that wasn't a camera animation. That was just a blend from one camera to another camera over timeline. Let's see, we leave here. We go seamlessly into gameplay. Now this is the free look camera that I showed you before. It's really powerful. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock we drill into more of the nuts and bolts of the machine. So if you're doing gameplay cameras, come check that out. This is really cool. Mike, bust open the state-driven camera module. Check out what this thing does. It's a little gizmo that scans your whole project for states. These are all the states in the game. These are all animations. And it lets you, just with a couple of clicks, combine animation states and cameras. How long you let to blend in, how long you let to blend out, how long you're going for. So here I've got my free look gameplay free look. I'm going to go into a scene, camera pushes in, we change the FOV, we add some handheld, let go, and it comes back. No code, no scripts, just hook it up. Yes. There's some other camera artists out there, I can tell.
So this first object that we interact with is more of a traditional cutscene where we'll actually take control away from the player and switch to some of these cameras. Again, no coding involved in any of this.
We cut to a shot with unique post effects. We set the focus distance to blur out the background. It's super fun. You do this, you can do this in play mode, like while you're working, you're actually sculpting these things. Okay, so this next little crate, it's kind of like a sculpted gameplay. It's not a hard cutscene, it's not gameplay. But watch what happens. We go up, we trigger it, and I still have control. But I've set the free look to just compose on him, and I've attenuated the inputs. So it is gameplay still, but it's like it's like a sculpted gameplay. So sort of this hybrid in between the two worlds, which is fun instead of like a cutscene and put the controller down and just watch. The user still playing, still engaged.
So to end off our little demo, we've got a different sequence that we've created here. So we'll go up and run and trigger it. So again, all of the actions you see in this sequence are done through timeline, including the guards walking their paths. You can see the yellow balls. We've keyframed waypoints for them using timeline, and all they're doing is using the nav mesh system to navigate the environment.
We're just saying target the headshots. I don't know where these guys are walking. It doesn't matter. We're just saying we want a wide shot, we want headshots. These are the guys we want to target. The cameras figure it out. We actually have the next one here where we blend from one camera, which is targeting on this one guy. We just blend, look at the other guy. So you can blend between targets. You just mix and match and overlap these cameras to blend them. It's really powerful.
And that's our demo. Thank you very much. Unity3D.com timeline, grab it, have a play. This is our beta release. Make some cool stuff with it. So we have 2 talks during GDC, one later on today at 1 p.m., and then we've got another one at 2 p.m. We'll talk about this ad nauseum. Thank you very much.
Thanks. We already have some customers out there who are using timeline. This is an example of being used by Scatter Films right in New York. And this is their VR documentary. It's award-winning. It's called 0 Days. It's super cool. And everything you see in here has been choreographed with timeline. So let's roll the 0 Days movie.
It's a covert operation. Maybe you don't know as much as you think you know.
Stuxnet wasn't just an evolution, it was really a revolution in the threat landscape.
We knew that Stuxnet could have very dire consequences.
Everyone's getting this story wrong, and we have to get it right.
We are the most vulnerable nation on Earth to cyber attack ourselves.
Someone decided that we're going to create something new, something evolved, that's going to be far, far, far more aggressive.
So next up, I'd like to introduce Larry Cutler. He's a co-founder and the CTO of Baobab Studios. They're an early user of Timeline. They've made some super cool stuff with it. Come on up, Larry.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adam. And it's really great to be up here on stage with Unity at GDC. And so at Baobab Studios, we're taking full advantage of Unity to really reinvent traditional animated storytelling using VR. Now, we all know that VR is becoming a great platform for games, but it is also a revolutionary new medium for storytelling. And at Baobab, we are really excited to be experimenting, to being at the forefront of figuring out what's possible here. So our background at Baobab is deeply rooted in computer animated feature films. I spent the better part of my career first off at Pixar on their early movies, and then later at DreamWorks. And that's where I met my co-founder and our chief creative officer, Eric Darnell. And Eric was the writer and director for all 4 of the Madagascar films at the studio. So we basically came together, and our team created our first piece of narrative content, Invasion, which we released last year. And to be honest, we were really surprised and blown away by the success and the reception of Invasion. So Invasion quickly became one of the top downloaded apps of content across all the VR platforms. It actually also garnered a lot of critical acclaim. It showcased at a number of different film festivals, including Tribeca, Cannes, and Toronto. And to us, the reason for Invasion's success is that audiences really fell in love with this bunny character, Chloe. And from a VR perspective, what's even more interesting is that when we would put people in the headset, almost universally, they would treat Chloe as if she was real. They would react to her in ways that you would just never react to a character if you were watching them up on the big screen. And so this really triggered a light bulb for us that, hey, there's something special, there's something profound going on here. There's real promise in storytelling in VR. So Asteroids is a follow-up to Invasion, and it was made with Unity, and we premiered it last month at Sundance Film Festival. And Sundance is really amazing because it brings together all the top pieces of narrative content under one roof in VR. And there's all these amazing filmmakers who are tackling the same types of problems that we are in VR, but they're all coming about it from very different backgrounds and very different perspectives. So I'm really excited to show you a short clip of Asteroids right now. Now, I'm sure you all picked up and realized that the voice of the female alien character was actually played by actress Elizabeth Banks. That was completely obvious, right? With Invasion and Asteroids, we're really experimenting with the idea of placing the viewer directly inside the story, making the viewer an active participant in the narrative. So in the clip you just saw, you, the viewer, you're a menial task robot aboard the alien spaceship. And throughout the narrative, you have the opportunity to help out the two alien characters, Mac and Cheese, on their journey. So in order to create Asteroids, we really relied heavily on timeline and all the great features that you just saw demos of. And for us, what was critical about timeline is that on one hand, we were making very precise precision edits, just like you would do on a film. But on the other hand, we were layering on top of that pretty complicated character interactivity and interactive moments that's much more akin to a game. And so timeline was flexible enough to allow us to have the best of both worlds. Now, our goal at Baobab is to create narrative experiences that are larger than life. And we really hope to get the same type of empathy that you feel from a great film, but combine that with the agency of a game and ultimately layer on top the motivations of life. Now, what I mean by that is that we're always striving to tell a great story with great characters that you connect with, just like you would do in a movie. But unlike a movie, in VR, you're like there. You're immersed in the world. You have agency in that world. And it gives us a great opportunity to compel the viewer to actually act on the character's behalf, just as you might act in real life. And that's the definition of compassion. It's turning empathy into action. And that's really our goal at Baobab, and that's what we view as the promise of VR storytelling. And with each of the projects that we work on, we're making incremental steps towards achieving that goal. And Unity is really critical for us to achieve that as well. So I just want to let you know that we hope that you can watch Asteroids this week at GDC. It's going to be showed at the Unity booth. So please stop by the Unity booth all week at GDC and you can actually view Asteroids. And it's also going to be showcased at CineQuest Film Festival this coming weekend right after GDC. And we just found out, we're proud to announce that Asteroids just won the Best Animated Motion Picture Award at CineQuest. So thank you. So you can also look later on this year for the public release of Asteroids on all the major platforms, and thank you.
Well, that was absolutely fantastic. So we're getting very close to the close, and I hope with the deep explanation we gave you on Unity 5.6, you can see this massive evolution towards what I believe is the best tool set available for building games in AR and VR. And I hope we gave you a glimpse, an important glimpse, at the revolution that comes next with Unity 2017. Now, I'm going to make the last introduction. Before I do, I always needed an arm-waving photo for my mom. So can I ask you guys to like just a little bit of a wave, something? There we go. I need the video version. Go. We got you all. All right. So in wrapping up, look, I've been doing these a while now, opening up with a description of our mission, our vision, our principles around democratization, enabling your success, and solving hard problems. And those are deep in my core. But someone wrote them. Someone created those ideas. They're not mine as an original. And the man that created them is a founder of Unity. He's a friend, a longtime CEO, a man whose collar needs no introduction. Mr. David Helgeson, come to the stage.
Damn it. I don't know. I just had 42 kind of pinch myself moments during this presentation this morning. What we're doing here is kind of anti-gravity. All of Unity is kind of a pinch myself moment going on for 14 years. You know, we had the time when we felt that every hour put into engineering on the product had less output. For years, like, you know, we were slowing, like we were hiring more people, so we got kind of stuff done, but it was really, really challenging, and we turned that corner. We're really, really productive. We're putting out all these wonderful things, and they really work. You know, for years, we were having this feeling that there were, you know, more bugs being created than we could kind of whack them all away, and I was just, you know, talking to Alchemy just now, and they have finally this moment of being able to upgrade Unity because they want new platform stuff, and it actually works, and it doesn't break everything. So we turned that corner. We've been stuck with old parts of the engine that were really kind of weird and written in a sort of a pre-wise time, like the transform component with like weird callbacks and unbelievably inefficient kind of use of memory. And Joachim and his guys are rewriting that. So we're really kind of turning the corner in a way that feels like a big kind of pinch myself thing. But it's because it's really proving that it's actually possible to create this company and make it do the right thing and democratize game development, God damn it. And it's really, really fantastic. So just thanks for being with us all this way. Thanks for building cool stuff. And thanks for making the game industry awesome. So have a great GDC. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.